water. Oh, okay. You know what? I'm going to run downstairs. I'm definitely going to need more water. Be right back.
Okay. Whoops. Forgot to do this. Hello, Podfeet.
Hello, how are you?
Doing good, hearing you twice. So let's take care of that.
Okay, so get rid of Discord voice. Only in Meme Live now.
Mute this, for goodness sakes. There we go.
Oh, you can change the name? Oh, she can change herself back to saying it?
Oh, cool.
Oh, roll call. Sorry, I got to obey that. Can't
good job,
pay
Alan.
attention.
He's on the ball.
All right, we've got Kevin and Jason and Frank and Mike and Jill and John and Rose and Rick and Sandy WF and Michael and Al and Zoe. And I know I heard Rose there.
She's in the left sidebar.
Oh, she is. Oh. Hi. And did I get Jill? Yes, I got Jill. Let's see, anybody else hovering over in the right-hand sidebar? I think we are good. Well,
right.
Welcome back, everybody. See, that looks like I'm a little bit hot. Hello. Yeah, my mic is hot.
Maybe we should do a quick sound check.
Yeah, just a second. Yeah, I think you like me back about there, actually. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan. No, that's a little low. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan. All right, let me do a little check here. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. This is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com.
Sounded good on Mimo. How about...
yeah.
Yeah, I think
sounds good to me, too.
Okay.
You sound a little light, but that's
okay.
I just turned you up.
I'm going to bring mine up 10%.
No, I don't know if you're light to them. I just turned
No,
the
I'm
volume
looking
up.
at the audio levels. I am a little lighter than you.
All righty. The boys sure did good, huh?
They did. Good job, Alistair. Good job, Bart. You can always count on
I'll
those
be talking
guys.
about that quite a bit here at the beginning. Maybe I should just, what do you think, start?
Sounds like a plan.
We could do that. I'm not going to be talking very long, so... Oh, no, I don't want to download an update right now. Okay. I expect a cat to disturb me. They're very energetic right now, having left them so many times in a row. All right. Oh, I don't have a phone to mute you.
I'll mute.
Okay.
I'm well trained.
Or I could boot up the device designed for the task that I forgot to boot up. Boy, we're out of shape. See if it's got a new battery. It never does. Nope, it's dead. Oh, no, there it comes. All right. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, July 31st, 2022, and this is show number 899. Well, Steve and I had a fabulous time circumnavigating Iceland, and it was made possible by Alistair and Bart and the contributors to the shows while we were gone. I don't for a minute take for granted the work on everyone's part that allowed me to completely relax while we were away. You know, in Alistair's NosillaCast episode, I really enjoyed Jill from the Northwood's explanation of how Streaks gets her to follow up with the things she intends to do. Sounds like a terrific app, and I think I need to go check that out because there's a few things I don't quite stick to. Now, I was really sad to hear about Alistair's back problems, but I was intrigued with how he solved them with the Time Out app. I truly need that app because I forget to stand up for hours and hours at a time. I do tons of exercise in the morning and then I do exercise in the afternoon, but in between I just sit at my computer and play and I forget to stand up. Now the Apple Watch is supposed to remind me, but it never does until it's like 10 at night and it goes, you have to stay up till midnight to get credit for 10 stands. You know, I'm so happy that Stephen Getz finally did his Sony headphones review. He did such a great job that I bet I'll never talk him into doing another one again. I had no idea there was a measure called heart rate variability, but Alistair's explanation of how some days when you really just don't feel like working out, it might not be you just being lazy. That was fascinating. Did you guys know that? Am I the only one who didn't know about that? Anyway, with Ed Tobias's tiny tips for the Finder, I'm kind of afraid he's going to run me out of a job with my Tiny Mac tips. All around, Alistair's show was just fantastic. Now, there was one thing Alistair forgot to do. He didn't tell you to follow him on Twitter at ZKARJ, or as he would say it, ZKARJ, and go to his website, zkarj.me. That's zkarj.me. Anyway, that's where you should go to follow him. He said to follow me, but he never told you where to follow him. Now, Alistair was a beast doing recordings for the NosillaCast. It was really fun to hear him as first up on Bart's version of the NosillaCast when he told us how he fell in love with photography. And what a great story that was. Now, while you always should listen to the NosillaCast first, it was cool to hear about all of the varied podcasts Bart recommended. I think that's one of the things that makes Bart so interesting is that he enjoys such a broad set of topics. Alistair helped out even more with his deep dive into Control Center. You know, there's so many hidden gems in that one set of tools that it was great to have them explained one by one. Now, Bart says he really dislikes doing security bits without me, but of course he did a bang-up job of it without my help. For a future show, we have a surprise guest who has volunteered to play the foil to Bart in my place on a Security Bits segment. You are going to love it. So thank you to Alistair and Bart and all of the other contributors for helping make those shows happen. All right. Ta-da! Let's see. God, I feel like I haven't done this show in 100 years. Everything's coming back, though. Save and add a chapter mark.
See if chapter marks work.
What's that?
See if chapter marks work here.
Yeah, I guess I might do a chapter mark here, but there's no blog post for what I'm going to say next. Okay. No, chapter mark isn't going to work for that. I got to do it by hand because it's just upcoming shows. There's no blog post there. Okay. Let me see if I've got this up yet. Bringing up my iPad. Ooh, 87%. That's very exciting. This is another example of not being ready to see things. I have noticed it is handy how I have so much automated, and that's why I don't have to remember much. Like at 4:45, my machine turns everything on and puts everything in place. So I think, didn't go into Do Not Disturb. That's interesting. All right. Now I'm ready to keep going. Oh, I see you posted the picture of our of us with our NosillaCast shirts.
Yeah, had to be done.
That was good. All right. Muting. Oh, he muted himself. The next few weeks of shows are going to be challenging, to say the least. Believe it or not, we have another vacation coming up. We're going to Hawaii with our kids and grandkids for a week. Now, after putting Alistair and Bart through so much work while we were in Iceland, I didn't have the heart to ask them to do it again. The good news is I've got commitments from a bunch of NosillaCastaways for content, so we will not miss a show. One of those people is actually Steve. Anyway, the schedule is going to be wonky, though, and that will impact the live show. So everybody in the live show right now, listen up. I'm going to be publishing next week's show early, probably on Thursday, August 4th. So if you see a show come out on August 4th, you know there's not going to be a live show on August 7th because we won't be home and you already got the show. So a lot of times I have people saying, hey, when's the live show? Where is everybody? It's like, you already got a show early, so that's why you know there's no live show coming. The following week, the show will be one day late because we don't come home until Sunday. So it's going to come out on Monday, August 15th. Now, I don't want you guys to panic if you don't see a show on the 14th. Don't think I've expired in some way. We will do the show on Monday, August 15th. Now, I'll probably talk to the live audience about this, whether or not to do a live show on Monday, because a lot of times people say, yeah, do it, but then hardly anybody comes, and it's a different day, a different time, and it gets really annoying to, I don't know, I get sad because there's not a lot of people there. So anyway, probably won't do a live show on the 15th either, but after that, we should get back to our regularly scheduled programming. I'm going to keep a little bit going. I'm not going to do another chapter on this. Hang on a second. Now, with our travel schedule, it's been quite the challenge to get out the NosillaCast, like I said, so chit-chat across the pond is going to still be a little bit uneven. However, next week, Bart and I are going to record a Programming by Stealth, and so you will get that early in the week before we leave for Hawaii. And then sometime in the future, I have a commitment for an interview that if I pull this off, it's going to blow your socks off. This person has said yes, but I've got to get my nerve up to ask them actually, like, let's pick a time and get it done. If it works, it's going to blow you away. It might be one of the coolest interviews ever. So now after I've built it all up, I think I really have to do it. All right. We should stop and show pictures of our summer vacation. Oh, do you like my puffin? My puffin shirt. So they eat puffin in Iceland, you guys.
Yeah, they revere and eat them. It's kind of an unusual combination of how one treats a national animal.
Yeah,
it's like if we ate bald eagles. Maybe not quite the same. I'm not sure if puffin are their national bird, but it sure seems like it is.
Yeah. Well, you're right, Sandy. I was thinking about it. Why don't we eat puffin? Because they're so cute. Yeah, right. Can't eat an animal that's that cute, right? I don't know. Yeah, where we heard about them eating puffin was the guy describing his. Oh, did you take that, Zoe? You're stealing my thunder here. I was just about to post a picture of him.
It's a GIF.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, it's National Geographic. Oh, it's a video. Yeah, look how cute they are. What was I going to say? Oh, so the one of the guides was describing how the puffins go out to the ocean for 7 months at a time, and then they come back and they nest. And sometimes the pufflings, that's the little baby ones, the pufflings don't make it back out to the ocean. So a natural tradition is they go around and collect all the pufflings, and they bring the children, and they go and they get the pufflings, and they take them and set them free. And he says, yes, we love our pufflings. We also eat our pufflings. Not pufflings, puffins. All right. Did that send? There we go. That's my favorite picture I took of the puffins.
And you guys may or may not see that stuff hanging out of his mouth. Those are small fish kind of all in a row in his beak, I should say.
Her beak.
Okay.
Their beak.
Miss Puffin.
Okay. And I'm not going to do all of our summer vacation, but I think you guys would enjoy that one.
Oh, there's the Blue Lagoon.
The classic Blue Lagoon.
Yeah.
Alan D. Who are you new? Oh, that's Al again. Alan, what are you doing? Alan's showing off that you can't change your name. Why do you keep asking that? Is that a riddle? I don't understand, Alan. All right, I'm going to try the chapter mark. Okay. Copy link. I think it's going to work. Boom. Today it's happening.
Yeah, look at that.
How many pictures did you two take?
Oh.
I want to say mine was around 1,100. And I brought my big girl camera.
That's how you got that puffin shot, right?
That is how I got that puffin shot. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to record again. Before we leave on vacation, we pack way more tech than normal people, but I think probably about average for a NosillaCast away. Of course, we both brought our iPhones, and I brought my iPad Pro, but we both need laptops on our vacation. And I mean need, not want. Steve and I both bought M1 14-inch MacBook Pros recently, but it's really not a good idea to travel with a brand new laptop. Remember when we went to Peru and someone swiped Steve's backpack with his laptop in it? We were both really happy that we had decided on that trip to bring our spare older laptops on that trip. So Steve's previous laptop is a 2016 13-inch MacBook Pro, so he loaded it up with all of his recent software for the trip. My 2016 MacBook Pro, though, is a 15-inch, and the reason I moved down to the 14-inch is because the 15-inch was too heavy to carry. Too heavy to carry on trips especially. The 15-inch is 15% heavier, and every single ounce matters to me. As much as I was worried about losing my new laptop, I just couldn't bring myself to carry that monster, so I took the risk and brought my new Precious. I am happy to say that it came through just fine. Now, you might be asking why we need laptops on the trip. I decided to bring my big girl camera on this trip, which meant I needed an SD card slot on a real computer, not an iPad. Now, I can just hear everyone, like Jill and Steven, hollering at the devices saying, see, you need that SD card slot that you complain so much about. Well, I would have been happy. I would have been just fine with my adapter, which I brought with me anyway, but I figured I might as well use the built-in slot. But again, using an iPad would have been, I think you can do it, but that would have been hard. Now, Steve brought his big boy camcorder on the trip, mostly because it has a huge zoom on it, so he needed his SD card slot too. Having a big zoom is why I brought my big girl camera as well, and we were both really happy we brought them. On the trip, we were on the edge of a cliff with puffins, and we were able to get some amazing photos and videos of them. They look like cartoon birds. They're so cute. Well, even if I didn't use my big girl camera, I need my laptop for something else. On every one of our major vacations, I write a travelogue email about our adventures. Every day, there's a new episode. Now, believe it or not, over 100 people voluntarily have asked to be on the recipient list. They seem to like my silly banter and near total lack of facts in my descriptions. I tried once to write the letter completely on my iPad, but embedding images was way harder, and it was just swimming upstream to not use the proper tool for the job. Now, on long flights, Steve and I like to watch the same movie at the same time. He uses his laptop, and I use my 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and we click the play button at the same time. I know, we're so adorable, you can hardly stand it, right? Before we leave, we download movies Steve has ripped to our Plex servers, so we have a good catalog of choices. We did that before leaving on our trip, but we ended up watching one of the provided in-flight movies, so I didn't end up using my iPad at all on that. On the trip, we had hardly a moment of downtime, and the only time we did have was filled with writing my travelogue. We didn't end up watching any video podcasts or streaming TV, and on the ship, we certainly didn't have the bandwidth to do it either. On this vacation, I don't think I used my iPad until our plane flight home when I started writing this very article in Ulysses. There was another reason, a big reason the iPad didn't get to play on this trip. Our trip was a circumnavigation of Iceland, as I said earlier, on a small cruise ship called Le Below. I said that wrong. Le Below. I think its max capacity is around 200 people, but we only had about 100 on the trip. They had free Wi-Fi, and considering we were in the North Atlantic up into the Arctic Ocean at one point, the service wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but you could send texts, and I could even send my 2-megabyte travelogue email if I had about 10 minutes to wait for it to upload. But there was one really annoying part about the way the Wi-Fi worked. The first time you signed in on a device, you selected Le Below as the SSID, but then you had to open a web page to wifi.ponent.com. Ponent is the cruise company. And then you had to enter your room number and a password. So that's just the first time. Now, they tried to give us just one login per person, but I made them give us each 2 logins. My phone and my laptop took priority, so the iPad didn't make the cut. I could have logged out of a device and in with the iPad, but that was too much work. I would have been logging in and out. Now, the bigger problem was trying to use a VPN with the ship's internet. You see, each time we woke up a device, we had to reconnect to the Wi-Fi, selecting the SSID, and we had to go to wifi.ponent.com to reconnect there as well. With our PIA VPN, as soon as we connected to the Wi-Fi, PIA would engage, but we weren't really connected yet, so we couldn't get to the verification webpage. That meant we had to open up PIA, tell it to stop trying to connect, go to the webpage, wait for it to acknowledge us, and then back into PIA. Now, this was nothing wrong with PIA. It was doing its job perfectly, but it was a big mess. We were constantly dancing back and forth to get it to work. Now, another minor problem was created by this weird Wi-Fi network setup. I read books on my Kindle, and when I see words I don't know, I tap and hold on the word to get a definition. Unfortunately, the dictionary is a web service. There's no way I could have navigated the interstitial web page to verify the login to the Wi-Fi to get a word definition, so I have just made up my own definitions for those words I read while I was on vacation. I'm sure nothing will go wrong with that later. Now, as you can imagine, I took hundreds of photos per day with my iPhone along with a few short videos, and I had to wait for all of those photos to go up to iCloud and back down into my Mac. Now, that might have worked on this very limited Wi-Fi, but I was also putting RAW plus JPEG images from my big girl camera onto my Mac and into Photos, and those images had to go up to iCloud and back into my phone. As you can imagine, this basically created a traffic jam of epic proportions with such slow internet. My photos from my phone simply never made it to my Mac for the entire 11 days, nor did the photos from my Mac make it back to my iPhone until I arrived home where I have broadband access. In order to write my travelogue then, I needed to get my photos from my phone over to my Mac. The only way I could do this in any reasonable amount of time was to use AirDrop. But you can't AirDrop if you're on a VPN because you're on different networks. Oddly, you can AirDrop if you're not on any Wi-Fi network at all, but you do have to have Wi-Fi enabled. So I would have had to have forgotten the ship Wi-Fi on both devices, done the airdropping, and then reconnected and go back through the wifi.ponent.com nonsense, but that was too much work. In the end, we told PIA to just trust the ship's Wi-Fi, and we hoped for the best. I'm sure part is rolling over and going crazy to hear that, but it was too hard. We just couldn't get it done. Now, we did a 3-day pre-tour of the main city of Reykjavik, and we stayed at the Hotel Borg. Yes, we made all the jokes. While staying at the hotel, PIA worked without any issues because there we had normal Wi-Fi. I did notice that it chose some city in the United States for the server location based on latency, but I changed it to Iceland instead. I didn't do any elaborate timing tests, but it seemed like a logical move at the time. I was able to use PIA, pause it when I needed to, do the airdrop dance, and reconnect to PIA while I was at the hotel. Let's talk about backups. When we travel, we carry each other's backup drives in our backpacks. That strategy saved the day in Peru when Steve's backpack got swiped and his camcorder, GoPro, and laptop were inside. Had I not been carrying his backup drive, he would have lost every single photo and video he took on the trip. While in Iceland, I ran my backups of my Mac and I put my drive in Steve's backpack, but I realized that none of the photos I was taking on my phone were backed up since they never came down to my Mac. I've been looking for a reason to buy iMazing for the Mac because it's such a well-loved app, but I never had a problem to solve with it, so I never bought it. I remembered while I was on the ship that one of the things it could do was back up photos from your phone, so I tried to download iMazing on the ship. Sadly, it was 200 megabytes, and after 40 minutes, I was only halfway done downloading and I ran out of time. While the photos from my phone hadn't gotten to my Mac because my Mac was trying to upload these raw photos, and the photos on my Mac hadn't gotten to my iPhone, I wondered whether at least the photos would be on iCloud.com from my phone. I never figured out why, but iCloud.com would not let me log in on my Mac. It kept saying my password was wrong, but I was copying it directly from 1Password, so we know that's not the problem. Finally, it occurred to me to try to log into iCloud.com using my phone, and there I was able to authenticate with Face ID. The good news was that with the exception of the last 20 or so photos at the time, all of the rest had safely backed up to iCloud, so I could finally relax. Well, Iceland has really good cellular service, like really good. And they've actually put in fiber internet to the all of the farms on almost all of the farms in Iceland, which are super far apart. So that's pretty cool. But again, they had really good cellular service, and we were able to take advantage of it when we were out and about in these little fishing villages that we went to. Now, I've talked about it several times before, but we use a service called Google Fi for our international travel needs. I think there are a lot of options available now that might be cheaper for your needs, but I really like the way that Google Fi works. I pay for one voice and data SIM card, and they gave me 4 extra data-only cards. They may only give you 3 now, I forget. But anyway, so I have 5, which is way too many. I don't need that many. The cost is $20 per month plus $10 per gigabyte. That's $20 total for all 5 cards, and $10 per gigabyte is shared between all the SIM cards. And the $10 per gigabyte is linear. So if you only use 500 megabytes, that would be $5 plus the $20 for the month. If you consume a lot of data, they stop charging you after 6 gigabytes. So the most we could possibly pay is $60 for the data plus $20 monthly fee for a total of $80. Now that sounds like a lot, but remember, this is shared amongst all of the users. So Steve had one in his iPhone, I had one in my iPhone, and I had one in my iPad. Steve and I played with reckless abandon on our Macs tethered to the voice and data card whenever we were near shore, and we used our phones with their data cards like crazy. We did maps, did all of the fun internet goodies. We used up 10.57 gigabytes on the trip, and again, the total cost for both of us was $80. For data hogs like us, it's great to know that you can play as much as you want and not worry about the bill. That last bit that makes Google Fi work for us is that when you're done with travel, you can simply pause the service. After 3 months, they automatically toggle it back on, but you get a notification and you can simply pause it again and not be charged until you actually start using it. I've had Google Fi for probably 5 or 6 years now, and it's worked in every country where I've tried it. Now, we had another random issue here. Our housekeeper cleaned for us while we were gone, and I normally pay her via Zelle through my bank's login on my phone. But my bank's app detected our odd location and insisted, I'm going to send you a text message to verify it's really you. Well, I had my international Google Fi card in, not my real phone number, so I couldn't receive the text, which meant she had to wait to get paid when I got back. Now, I suppose I could have put my regular SIM card back in and paid like $28 to make one text message, one message to pay her, I guess. But I didn't end up doing that. So I texted my housekeeper on her Android phone to tell her there would be a delay in payment, and I noticed something interesting. When she replied to me, there was an odd bit of text glop after her response. So she wrote, sure, no problem, with a little smiley emoji, but after that it said, tilde TJHUSQAVY, just a big glop of text. I thought that was kind of strange. So I thought maybe it was the system was just barfing somewhere. But later, when I texted our driver to tell him we'd made our connecting flight when we were in Iceland, or no, I think we were actually in Seattle by that time, but I still had that SIM card in there. His Android device also had that same kind of glop at the end. So I don't know why, because none of my text messages to iPhones had this glop. After I switched back to my AT&T SIM and texted him again, there was no glop. No clue what it was, but I thought it was interesting. Actually, now that I think about it, we had to have still been in Iceland. Yeah, we had to still, I don't know. Anyway, there was glop on Android phones that wasn't on iPhones, and it was only with Google Fi. We hung out with a woman named Linda for a lot of the trip who figured out I like to talk tech. It became a standing joke that she only got one tech question per day, but she could earn extra questions if she behaved herself. I'm going to stop and pause, just relax for a second. That's weird. How come I'm not seeing... Oh, I see what's happening. Every time you're texting, the same picture's coming through. Mike, yeah, you posted a link to the Barrel travel router. This one? Should I have brought it with me? I really need to go back and reread your article. I've had it on my bed waiting for me to test it. And I didn't think that it would work in, I don't know.
Did you just get that?
I bought it before we went on the trip. Oh, shoot. He says absolutely. I really
I don't remember
should.
Seeing that.
Maybe I'll play with it when we go to Hawaii where I won't need it. I really should re-listen or reread what you wrote. Okay, Jill has one too. Dagnabbit. Well, what are you going to do?
How much does it weigh?
Oh, nothing. It's tiny. Actually, is it in here? No, hang on.
Oh, 2 cats.
Uh-oh.
It's a treat. Normally you don't see both cats.
Pretty big, but this is the whole thing.
Yeah, it's pretty light.
Little bitty.
Well, it looks light.
Yeah.
The way you're handling it.
Pretty small thing. Ah, well. The M2 MacBook Pro for $250 off? What? Oh, the MacBook Pro. Yeah, that's the one nobody should buy though. That's interesting that they're that cheap already.
Is that the one that still has the touch bar?
Yeah.
2 USB-C ports?
I think so. It's a good price though.
Yeah.
Interesting. I feel it's bothering me that I don't have a spare Mac now that can run the latest OS as a Ventura, because I gave Lindsay the 2019, so she's got the one that can run Ventura.
Just ask for
Cheaper
it back.
than you. Ask for it back, yeah. All right, let me keep going here. No, that's not what I asked for. Early in the trip, she showed me that she was getting an error when she tried to send images to a group text that included a green bubble person. We checked to make sure. Early in the trip, she showed me that she was getting an error on her iPhone when she tried to send images to a group text that included a green bubble person. I checked to make sure that failover to MMS was enabled in settings. That's multimedia messaging. No, what does the S stand for? Shouldn't have tried to say it if I didn't know what it was. Anyway, we made sure MMS was enabled in settings, but it still wasn't working. The next day, I tried to send an image to a green bubble person, and I got the same error. I went searching for how to fix it with Google Fi in the search criteria, because obviously it works on my AT&T SIM, and I found a full setup guide with an amazing amount of glop that you have to add under Cellular Data Network in Settings/Cellular. All of these odd changes you have to make are in sections entitled APN. Now, APN stands for Access Point Name, and it's a gateway between GSM, GPRS, 3G, or 4G mobile networks and another computer network, frequently the public internet. That is a quote from a website. They went on to say, a mobile device making a data connection must be configured with an APN to present to the carrier. Okay, whatever. Anyway, after putting all those cryptic things in, like H2G2-T And at one point, one of the APNs had to say http:// not HTTPS, it's HTTP, and then m.fi.goog/mms/WAPENC. I told you it was glop. Anyway, that was in the MMSC field. And then I had to set the MMS max message side field. I'm going to get this right. Okay, now I got to start that one again. Too many. I told you it was glop. /MMS/WAPENC. And that went in the MMSC field. Don't know what that is. And then I had to set the MMS max message size field to the highly suspicious value of 234567889. When I did all of that, I could send MMS messages to my green bubble friends. It felt like a magic incantation, but it worked. Now it was time to figure it out for Linda, who was using T-Mobile. This is where it got even weirder. The instructions I found are step by step, and I think they probably would have worked, but T-Mobile had an animation to go with the instructions that used a flip phone. Now, maybe that's not the latest ones, but I was dying to try it, so I sent it to Linda and I offered to sit with her and translate the instructions to work on her modern phone, and I loved her response. She said back to me, "Yesterday, I sent to my Blue Bubble son and I asked him to forward it. I think that'll work good enough for now. It's not worth using up the rest of my questions on this one thing." Linda's awesome. Well, before we left, I made sure that both of our checked bags, both of our backpacks, and our carry-on luggage all had air tags in them. When we left the hotel or the ship, we appreciated the notifications that our bags had been left behind, along with our laptops and my iPad. But more importantly, it was highly useful to be able to track our luggage at the various airports. Now, the main value was to know for certain, upon arrival in a new city, that our luggage had made the flight. A few times, my luggage showed as still being on the runway when it was already coming down the conveyor belt, so minute-by-minute updates didn't really happen all the time. But again, the real value was knowing that it was nearby. I would be very hesitant from now on to travel without AirTags in my luggage. Dave Hamilton on the Mac Geek Gab told a really interesting story about his daughter's experience with an AirTag in her luggage that really cemented my sentiment. His daughter went through customs in Canada before flying to the U.S. Some cities let you do that, but her bag had not yet arrived from her flight. She convinced the Border Patrol people to let her board the plane to go home without her luggage because she was able to prove using Find My devices that her luggage was still in her previous location. It had not made the flight. When she arrived at her destination, she didn't bother to wait to see if her luggage came down the chute. She simply went to Lost Luggage, showed them the location of her luggage, and they immediately arranged for the return of said luggage. Let's see, we're getting almost done with all the tech on travel here. Bart did a great episode of Programming by Stealth where he walked us through how to set up our code to be fully disconnected from the internet so we could play while we were on vacation. I did all of the setup he suggested, and on our flight from Seattle to Iceland, I tested it on the plane to Reykjavik, Iceland, and it worked. Then I got sleepy. And then on the voyage, we very rarely had any downtime at all, and I spent all of that time writing my travelogue, like I said. It was cool to know that I could do it, but my coding will have to wait for another type of break. The final tech story I have to tell you is about our new HVAC system. We had a heat pump installed in our house at the end of last summer. The air handler is in the attic, and it has a little pipe that drains any excess condensation through a hole to the outside of our house. In the attic, there's a little metal tray under the pipe's connection. No fluid should ever show up there, but early after we had the system installed, there was a leak at that connection. So Steve put a smart leak sensor from Ring into that little pan under the air handler. While we were in Iceland, we got an alert that the air handler leak detector had sensed liquid. It was cool that the detector worked, and it was cool that we were able to get this message because we had such good connectivity. But what are we going to do about a leak up in our attic? Our cat sitter is a very young woman who we just couldn't picture trying to talk through climbing up a ladder into our attic to see if it was a false alarm, especially communicating only through text. The solution was to use yet another connected device. Our HVAC system is a smart system, and I had set the temperature limits in the house to what I felt would be comfortable for our cats in case of a big heat wave. But I was able to see that it was pretty comfortable in the house and simply turn off our HVAC system. When we arrived home, Steve ran a test of the system and it didn't start a new leak, but it does look like there was water there at one time in the pan. We're pretty sure this was a false alarm, but it was good to know we would be notified if something went wrong and we'd be able to deal with it remotely. Well, I hope you enjoyed and learned something in my coverage of all the tech we used in an interesting trip to the top of the world.
There. Well done. I think of all those, the Google Fi is the champion.
Do you?
Yeah, and
you love
just in terms of ease of use, does what it says it's going to do. The value it provided for for the cost, the benefit for cost was great. And no problem.
I am hearing about a lot of rates that are cheaper than what we do, but you have to fool with it. You have to figure it out ahead of time. You have to do something ahead of time. We did the fooling around once and have never had to figure it out again in all the countries we've been to.
Hey, I saw a couple little typos. Do you mind if I just fix those?
No, please. Did you see the double comma?
Double comma and filed versus field.
Good. Yes, both of those. Thank you very much. All right. I am not going to do much more work after this. I think
fortunately, double commas are easy to find in search.
Yeah.
Not too many of those.
Okay. The next up is Bart, and I'm pretty sure Bart does not introduce himself. Oh, yes, he does. All right. Oh, push my grumpy button. Nope. I have the right app in front. Push my grumpy button. There we go.
Seemed to work.
Yeah, it did. I'm going to move this out a little bit here. Well, I'm going to let nope. Well, I'm going to take a little break here and let Bart take over the microphone. Put you back here. I don't know how much of this we want to listen to. All right, I could play a little bit. Oh, it's 5:37 already. Over the microphone.
Hi, folks. Bart here with something.
That was a little quick, wasn't it? Smidge, just a smidge right there. Zoomed in pretty far. Let Bart take over the microphone.
Hi, folks. Bart here with something I don't do very often. A review. In fact, I'm going to review the Cat Eye Sync bike light system. So I do a lot of cycling. I cycle all year round in all weathers, so bike lights are something that is very important to me. Having been hitting a hit and run once, I don't want to do it again. And we all know that it's important to have lights to see where you're going when you're riding in the dark, but it's actually more important to have what I call your being seen lights, and you need those always. Doesn't matter what time of the day, doesn't matter what time of the night, doesn't matter what country, doesn't matter anything. If you're on a bike on public roads, you need being seen light.
All right, I think I'm actually going to just keep going here.
The market for new bike lights gives serious consideration to Cat Eye Sync.
All right.
If you're in the market for new bike lights, give serious consideration to Cat Eye Sync.
Well, thank you for that, Bart. Those sound really, really cool. It sounds like they do solve all of the problems, almost all of the problems. I sent Bart a link. They sell micro USB to USB-C adapters. You just stick, I think I sent them a link. They were $4 for $6, maybe $7 US. So you just stick those on the end and you're done with it. You're all done with it. So anyway, that was really cool. I appreciate that. And Bart actually has reviewed the Cat Sync lights before, but they were not the smart ones. So that's really nifty. All right. What is this? Got a big red mentions. There we go. All right. Boy, this is going to end up being a long show. All right. And I cut a big chunk. Let me put oh, no. I'm going to do a grumpy button. There we go. All right. Now, I've said it before, but this bears repeating. The people who support the show via Patreon and PayPal rock. They help pay for servers, microphones, blog themes, backup storage, and more to help me and Bart and Alistair bring the shows to you. There are a select few who not only contribute financially, but they also join in the discussion in Slack at podfeet.com/Slack, helping other people and providing entertainment and just being all around cool in our discussion groups. They also help make some of these people also help make the live show more fun by joining every week they can. And maybe one of them has also, on top of all of that, been on Chit Chat Across the Pond. That awesome person is Bruce Wilson, also known as Save the Data. If you're thinking he's teacher's pet, and he would be anyway, but this week, you know what he did? He actually raised his pledge on Patreon. I don't know if you knew you could do that, not just contribute, but you can actually raise it if you want to. You can also lower it too if you need to. So if you want to be teacher's pet, consider joining the community in Slack, just like John Hudak did this week, or stop by the live show from time to time and maybe throw $1 or $2 into the Podfeet coffers to help keep the show going. Thank you so much, Bruce, for going to podfeet.com/Patreon and showing your faith in the show with actual dollars. Wow, I ad-libbed a bunch of that. That only occurred. Oh, he's complaining there's no plink.
Yeah, I think that only happens when you're recording him, right? And you're doing sound checks.
All right. Now I've got Troy Shimkus. This is going to end up going long. Okay, let's hear. Oh, I didn't do a chapter mark. Just a regular chapter mark here. Okay, right here. There we go. In the show with actual dollars. Unfortunately, he had trouble with his microphone, so this isn't the best audio, but with actual dollars. Well, Steve and I really love MacStock Conference and Expo in Chicago every year. A plinkless episode. But did he honk? Sandy, only you.
Hey.
The show. What's wrong?
Maybe I missed it. Did you already read the intro? Or is it after? Do you have an intro for Troy? Did you read that? Maybe you did.
No, I didn't. I was... listen to the beginning here and see if you think I need it. I did that just as a way of... It's just in the show notes.
Okay.
With actual dollars. Well, Steve and I really love MacStock Conference and Expo in Chicago every year. You aren't going to be able to hear him until I split that audio. We've gone for 5 years. 1 year we had to do it over video conferencing because it was the time that my grandson Forbes was born. But we have never missed it until this year when I was so bummed that it ended up scheduled smack dab on top of our trip to Iceland. I decided to torture myself and you by asking first-time attendee Troy Shimkus to come on the show to tell us how it went. And I have a feeling I'm just going to be even sadder that I missed it. How are you doing today, Troy?
I'm great. I'm glad to have you guys back in the country.
Oh, right. Well, we're glad to be home. So this was your first time going. I think, did I help talk you into it in the first place and then not show up?
You did. It was 2020 January. I had to go back and look at the messages to be sure, but it was 2020 January, and it was a simple comment that you made in somewhere that just said, you should go to MacStock this year. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So I started looking at it then and bought the tickets that same year. And then, of course, the world ends and everything under the sun is canceled for the next 3 years.
Right.
And so for 3 years, I've had these tickets sitting out there that didn't go away because, Mike, who runs MacStock, was absolutely amazing in terms of working with everyone and figuring out, what made sense and being safe and keeping the community safe. And he was super hyper about that and offer people, you can roll your tickets over or do whatever you need to do. And so I just kind of said, I'll let it ride, and kept letting it ride for the last 3 years until they finally had a nice opportunity to have another in person this year. So it was.
Yeah, I just can't. All right. I don't think I want to play too much of that.
Yeah, I don't think you need that intro. You covered it pretty well.
Okay, good.
Years, I've had these tickets sitting out there that didn't go away because
yeah, I didn't see whether Barry was involved in it this year. I think he's kind of dropped off being involved with it.
I thought I saw a photo of him with some
was he
MacStock
there?
folks. Maybe he was
I
just,
hope so.
since folks were in Chicago, he was visiting with them.
Hung out with them. Okay, let me hear how the ending goes. Short notice. I gave Troy, I think it was an hour and 10 minutes notice that I wanted to do this.
Perfect timing.
All right. Thanks a lot, Troy. All right. Hour and 11-minute show. I had 2 days to put a show together. Yeah, Jill, I wish you, well, next year, hopefully. All right, here we go. Well, we managed to pull together a pretty healthy, long show for you guys this week, but that is going to wind us up for this week. Did you know if you want to email me at any time, you can do that by sending it to allison@podfeed.com. If you have questions or suggestions, just send it on over. Maybe a dumb question. Love dumb questions. You can follow me on Twitter, also @podfeed. And if you want to join in the fun of the conversation, like I mentioned that John did just recently, you can join our Slack community at podfeed.com/Slack. That's where you can talk to me and Bart and Alistair and all of the other lovely NosillaCast castaways. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can support the show at podfeed.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeed.com/PayPal. And remember, there will be no live show for the next 2 weeks. So I'm not even going to tell you how to go there, but we will be back. And I should have written down the date. When do we come back? When is the next live show? Calendar. When is our live show? Oops, let's put it on so I won't be there. It won't be there. August 21st. And remember, we will not have a live show for the next 2 weeks, so it'll be August 21st that you should head on over to podfeed.com/live at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCast castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. All right. I'm going to change that. Let's see. Are you editing the main? You're not editing 899, are you?
No, I'm out.
Okay. Let's see. Another show. Wait till August 21st and head on over to, there we go. All right. Throw in some music. I think we should just see how many people will stay if we just show pictures of our summer vacation now.
Where did you put in wait till August 21st?
I'm not doing it on the website.
Oh, okay.
And it wouldn't update real time either. You'd have to.
Yeah, Rose, sorry. Is it 2 weeks? The 21st? Yeah.
Yeah, another 2 weeks off. I'm sorry. I mean, we could do it on Monday, but Jason, you already asked that question. How many pictures did we take? Mine, I think, was 1,100, something like that.
That was probably half that.
For listening and stay subscribed. I bet you took that many.
Well, maybe, possibly. I bartered a lot of them,
pictures. What's that?
I bartered a lot of them.
I have not bartered enough yet. I got pictures of like flowers sticking out of boards and stuff I got to go through. Okay, we got to do a chapter mark count. I put in 5 chapter marks. So upcoming shows, Tech on Travel, Cat Eye, support the show, Troy Shimkus.
Let me check. Wait. You didn't do shows while I was gone. Just upcoming shows, right?
Right. That's just, yeah. Shows while I was gone. Oh, you mean where I talked about everything fun they did?
Yeah.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep.
All righty. I think we are set. All right, Alan, good job. And Sandy's got her Wing Woman title. Sandy WF. All right. That's good, Alan. We got it. You're the one who's going to forget. You know that, right? All right. I think we are all set. I am going to push export. It's nice to be back to real internet. Isn't it,
it is.
Steve?
Really is.
All right, everybody. Let's say goodbye, Steve. I'm going to kiss Rose goodbye. Bye, Rose. Bye, everybody.
Good night, Gracie.